Alright, so here we go again. Next video. This is an afterwards and takeaways from my Verusteleka military Ruck March 2025. Right? I think this is video 5, I think. I started breaking down the rucksack in the last video. So cleared those pockets. Clear a pocket, you leave it open, right? Because that means it's empty. It's clear, right? Anyway, yeah, got about half the battery there, maybe a little more. So yeah, I put this together. I thought, oh, I'll try to go old school and try to put something together with old school Alice, right? So you heard the story already about the medium, and I went up to the large. But the problem is this kidney pad is not really a hip belt. So it's not, this is not really made to relieve a lot of weight from you off of your shoulders, because it's mainly used with the belt kit, and the belt kit has the suspension. Of course you got counterweight with ammo and stuff in the front, right? So all of the belt kit helps to alleviate the weight on the shoulders a bit. You know, I mean, it's kind of a complicated situation, but you guys do know what I'm talking about. So, but if you go with the super heavy rucksack with no belt kit for added support, you have to have really a hip belt, and this is not a hip belt. I just threw these wings on here to kind of, you know, take some pressure off of my hip bones, because I do have large hip bones, which comes from my Scottish genes on one side of my family, so I'm half Scottish. Anyway, so I'm gonna do this again in October. I already stated that a couple of times now in this these takeaway videos, but it's gonna change. It's either going to be a totally different rucksack and suspension, or it's at the very least it will be a different suspension system. Now I tried to help this along, and you'll see that as I unpack it. But some of you guys out there are unbelievers, you know, when it comes to weight and so forth, when it comes to old guys. So I'm going to go ahead and put what's left. I haven't unpacked anything else other than I unpacked in the last video, and I did bring this super belt over for comparison. I mean, this is just incredibly, yeah, there's just no comparison there. This flimsy thing, it's probably some aftermarket crap. I don't even think that's a real issue, but everything else is real issue. Just I was like, oh, I just need the kidney for the belt to work it with my belt kit, you know. But anyway, this is a Tactical Tailor Super Belt made in the USA. This is a very comfortable hip belt. This is not the new high-speed one. It's the older squared off one that they still sell. Super comfortable. It would be nice if they did put PALS webbing on the side here, but whatever, right? Anyway, my Malice pack is for sale anyway. It's in mint condition. So I didn't use that. It's just for looks. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing on just to show you. I'm just going to show you, you know, here. I'll bring that over a little bit. My house is 200 and something years old, but I have a digital thermostat. That was an upgrade at some point, I guess. If you want to call it an upgrade, it needs batteries. Alright, so I'm going to get this big motor on. Alright. So normally with an Alice pack, you would grab it. You know, you'd have this on the ground, you'd grab it by the frame, and you'd sling it up over your back. You'd have these shoulder straps out here ready to receive you. Okay, and when it came over the top, then they would fall down, and then you would just stick your arms in them. That's how you normally do this, but I'm in the house, right? And anyway, we'll get this thing on. I'm quite sore, so I put in one of the boxes on the other video there about how I was so wore out. I had my supper and I fell asleep on the couch for a couple hours. Woke up and I had some pumpkin pie in the fridge, and I went ahead and got myself a piece of pumpkin pie. A little consolation prize for being sore, I guess. A little pumpkin pie. Alright, so what you want to do, this big mother, is take it and then lean over, and you want to get that thing on the small of your back as best you can. Right? Buckle her up. Alright, I got those wings over my hips, which there's a lot of pressure. Okay, and then here's your shoulder straps. This old Alice does not have a sternum strap. I had that antenna set up a little bit better earlier. It moved around a little bit. Anyway, this is the way it looks. And it, you know, it don't look too bad and all, right? But the problem is that there's so little padding. It just digs in. You know, just digging in way too much. You know, something like that super belt would be really good. For this. Anyway, that super belt doesn't have PALS webbing on it. I put these Mystery Ranch wings on this thing, and it has PALS webbing on each one, and so I could put these goodie bags on there. So the idea, of course, like I said, was tiger stripe, mostly. You know, give it some old school appeal and whatnot. So one of the problems I had earlier, I told you I had a few little problems, and this one, this problem I'm getting ready to talk to you about, at first I thought it was going to be a major suck problem, literally. So, but it ended up working its way out because the Lord showed me what the problem was while I was walking. So, well, I just kept moving forward. That's the whole thing, guys. Just keep moving forward, right? You got to get there, okay? In a real world scenario, if you don't get there, they'll leave you, right? They'll leave you behind. You might have to be extracted later, right? They might have to send somebody in for you. You know, that whole thing of leave nobody behind. In real world scenarios, people have been left behind. It's hard, you know, hard to stomach, but sometimes people get left behind. But this is the mentality that you have got to have in your head that, you know, I got to get there. I have to get there. I got to be there. All pain aside, move on. All right. So let's get down to this little problem. So this little problem is with this bag, right? So I filled my 3-liter platypus bag with water, threw a couple of nice tea bags in there, and shook it up, let it sit. It automatically becomes tea. You don't have to do nothing with it. It just becomes tea on its own. So anyway, here's what the deal was. This cover, this hose cover, this camouflage hose cover, was all the way up here, right, to the mouthpiece. And it was working fine for a bit. Still tea in there. Because you drink sparingly, just to keep your thirst away. And that tea helps, okay? Tea helps to curb your thirst. You don't want to dehydrate. You want to keep hydrating regularly. But you don't want to drink a whole lot at a time. You just want to be constant. Okay? So what happened? Well, all of a sudden, wasn't getting nothing. Thought, well, maybe a hydro lock or something, right? But man, this is all I need. You know, Ruck marching along. It's, you know, starting to, you know, need some fluid, and it has. There's no way that it ran dry. See, it still got in there because I could serve as I'm going. I just a little of, you know, a mouthful, swish it around, you know, let my mouth get nice and damp, and then go ahead and, you know, let her go down the neck, right? Well, after a bit, I started thinking, well, I don't see anywhere to really conveniently stop and deal with this crap, so I'm going to deal with this on the fly. So as I was ruck marching, I started pulling back this hose, and I'm going to tell you what happened. That quick disconnect right there. This is where you pop this, okay, and then that comes off, and then you backfill your bladder with your modern, you know, water pump. So I got the old school Cadden right here, but I have a new one, a brand new one that I bought a year or two ago to be updated. Okay, that one still works good. I just brought it for this. But I got the new one has an adapter where you can throw the water intake hose in your source and then plug the other end in from the output of the filter here, and then you can pump water back into your bladder bag. Okay, that was a pretty cool feature. My brother is the one who got me onto that because he converted to water bladders much earlier than I did. I'm a canteen guy through and through. Matter of fact, I have two 2-quarts and 2 1-quart canteens inside the Ruck right now, right? So anyway, that sucker had been slightly disconnected, and it cut off my supply, and it must have got banged around some way, and something hit that little button there. So you guys need to be aware of that. Alright, I'm going to plug that back in, check it. There's the alarm. Submarine, get quiet. Alright, got about a minute here. I always set it about 1 minute ahead of 15. So alright, so you notice the old school Alice has no load lifter straps up in the shoulder area, right? So that's a negative. Also the Malice, no, but the Malice is much better as far as the suspension system. It has a better frame. It's all welded frame. The only thing about the Malice I don't like, and I brought up all of my improvements to the Malice pack to Tactical Taylor. The owner looked at it. He said, I'll take a look at it, blah, blah, blah. Never heard back from him. So in my mind, that just means they don't give a crap and they're not going to upgrade nothing. They're not going to do anything any different. They're out of stock right now. Can't even go buy a Malice right now if you wanted to, unless you wanted to buy mine, which is going to be at a new price because it's unused. It's one of those things that you buy to have around just in case. So anyway, I did not put this back up over the top because I wanted to point this out to you guys because it is something that's important. Because if something happens to where that quick disconnect gets depressed, and you could lose your mouthpiece. So I generally, in a battlefield situation, I will have an extra one of those. Alright? So you guys that are still out there in the game, you know, or if you're in a Minuteman scenario like I am right now, okay, I'm just trying to keep myself as physically fit as I can and as sharp as I can about, you know, warfare, because I didn't think we would be going to this at this point in my life. I thought this would be happening earlier, but you know, everybody thinks that we're out of the red because Trump is in office, but it's not really true. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the world. Alright, we will come back. I'm probably at about, I've probably dumped about 5 pounds of kit, so I'm probably at about 65 pounds right now. And then, of course, I had the chest bag, right? Guys, I'm going to let this go. It's running too long. We'll come back in another one.